learn the importance of discovering your calling in the journey of mastery. How do you discover your inner calling? Don't you think it should be easy because it is already present in you? And all that you have to do is pay attention and become aware of its presence. But know that it also requires some amount of planning and strategizing. So here are the strategies to discover your calling, your life's task. In order to master a field, you should love the subject and should also feel a profound connection with it. Your passion should transcend the field itself, and your interest will border on the religious. By religious, I mean it is all about your belief and your practice. You are so sincere in your practice as though it is a religious endeavor. And how do you know this? For example, if it's this physics subject that you like, it is a mastery of your field, then you will be a person who is interested beyond the subject of physics. You will also be interested in the invisible forces which are going to guide the universe. And if it is film or writing that you want to pursue, then you will look at it as an opportunity to express your deepest emotions, and you want to bring something very powerful to life. So you look at it as an opportunity which is going to give you a stage to express your deepest emotions. This is what I mean by you're going to transcend your field, and also your interest will border on the religious, because you are going to do it religiously. One is, it is about the love for the subject which is going to already attract you. See, one thing which I realized was discovering your life's task is almost like finding your life partner, wherein you feel a certain attraction or you are allured to that particular person and you don't know why. So it is not born out of any rational, you cannot rationalize that, but then you have a certain inclination. One more thing about this is it is going to be transcending the field. So you're going to break down different limitations and you're going to get into deeper and deeper depths of the subject. How do you notice this? These inclinations are very much evident during the childhood, where how do you identify it? You will look at it as, some kind of interest which attracts you. You love certain things, you love certain activities which you are interested to do. And moreover, you like to ponder about questions in that particular subject. And then there is a kind of curiosity and you are so interested to learn new things about the subject. This is the first sign. And moreover, these signs are not something which you can express in words. It is all about these pre-verbal signs, because you cannot express them in words. You feel it as a kind of attraction, and whenever you do such activities, you feel a kind of power within you. And you almost spend most of the times doing it and you're not feeling tired at all. These are the initial signals that this is the field which is going to be your field of mastery. But then what happens as we get sophisticated, these primal inclinations just get buried under the various things that we are forced to be in the future. What happens is, with the sophistications, with the future things that we study, all the primal inclination gets buried deep within and we lose connection with it. It's very important to identify this primal inclination, because it is untouched by any of the influences such as the parental influences or the desire to please any of your friends or the society. So it is very much a part of your nature, and that is why identifying or discovering your life task becomes very, very important. And how do you do? Your future definitely depends on identifying this life task, because it is something which you're going to do it for a lifetime, and you should know that you are primarily programmed to do it. It's going to be very easy for you because it's already programmed into your being. All that you have to do, you have to groom it, and then you have to take it to the next level. As at the different stages of life, as you're pursuing this task, you will be taking it to a greater level. So this is what is very important a factor about discovering your life's task. And one more important thing is What it is already present in you, and you will see it as a visceral reaction. You have something like a gut feeling, and then you are almost very curious and deeply interested in the subject, and you would never get tired doing this activity at all. And whenever you're doing such activity, you are always in a state of inspiration or flow. You are at your, you are at your highest peak performance zone, and this is how you know that this is your life's task. And moreover, you feel a sense of power, in the sense you're able to create new things, you're able to make the right decisions. So you also feel a sense of power and a sense of peak performance when you do such things. In spite of the various challenges, you don't mind having challenges. You feel, that you will be able to cope up with the challenges. These are the signals of your life task. And since it is already present, all that you have to do is refine it, and it is buried deep within you. You just have to unleash it. You have to just remove it and refine it. Once you have reconnected to this life task, something very important happens. You will be connected to that primitive inclination within you, your primal core, which makes you feel that your life comes back to spark again. So this is the importance of identifying your life's task. Just find the signals of this. It is very much evident in your childhood. All that you have to do is refine and reconnect. You must all be aware of Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. So your career path is also an ecological system, where you, in a field, if you occupy a particular space, there you have to survive, and then there is a lot of competition in that particular field, and the best of them will survive. So if you have occupied a particular field, more the number of people, greater the struggle. So the author says that when you are spending a lot of energy in a competitive environment, you tend to wear out. There's a lot of struggle, and you are struggling for a very scarce resources. The resources are scarce and the people are many. So this is the kind of challenge which you will face in an ecological system, and the career world is nothing different from it. So the author says is, instead of spending your energy in this competition and the unnecessary political game which will be involved in the system, you are going to tend to lose a lot of energy. So the author believes that you have a different game plan to play. All that you have to do is find out your niche. Niche is very unique to you, and it's going to be a specialized field which you're going to find for yourself, and it is beyond competition, and it's all about completion. How do you do that? Definitely it's not going to be easy, and here is a strategy that you can apply. There are two ways which you can once you have done, once you know that you don't want to be playing the game of this competition and the survival of the fittest, because instead of spending your energy on becoming a master of your subject, you spend most of your energy in all this political gaming, and then it's actually very tiresome, and all your energy is going to be wasted. So the author says that it's better to go in a different direction and identify your unique niche. How do you do that? Initially, what you have to do is you have to join the subject or start working on the subject which you find you are initially interested in. You will choose a subject which you are interested in, and then once you have done, for example, you can do medicine, you can do engineering or writing. You can take up of any of these subjects. Initially, you are interested in the subject, take up the subject, and then you can go in any of these two directions. First, once you have finished this initial interest, now you have taken up medicine. So then look for the sidelines which attract you. Probably it could be neuroscience, and if it is filmmaking, and in writing you might get into filmmaking, and if it is engineering, then you want to get into robotics. Once you have got into that, as you keep on following this until a time when you feel that you are attracted to one other particular field, and then you feel it is something very unique to you. It is a reflection of your uniqueness. So once you get into that, you will know that this is your field of mastery, because this niche is a completely unique reflection of you, and there will be very less competition there, and you will be able to dominate that particular field, and you will be able to attract more resources, and you'll be at great freedom to handle yourself and follow your interest, because you are going to focus all your energy on following your passion and your interest. I think the best comes out of you. This is called as the narrowing path, where you have selected one mainstream and then you look on for the side streams and you keep following. You take up the side tracks, and as you follow, you will completely achieve a particular niche which is totally unoccupied by many. It is completely unique to your interest, and this is called as a narrowing path. Then there's another way you can also achieve this. It is called as the connecting or the widening path. What you do is, once you have mastered in the particular field of interest which you are initially interested, then with your own time, once you have finished mastering that field, with your own time, you can start learning other things which interest you. You can add up different fields which are going to interest you. After that, what? You can make two things. Either you can combine the first and the second field and create a completely new field, or you can keep adding, and this can be done progressively. And the other thing you can do is, you can create novel connections between the two different fields. Either ways, you're going to completely create a new field, and this is going to be your creative thinking. And know that in the current culture of great information which is widely available, connecting ideas is a great power. And this way, either ways, either the narrowing path or the widening path, you're going to totally create a completely unique niche for yourself. And that is very important, because you're beyond all competition, and you have a greater freedom to pursue your interest, and moreover, you have a greater control and power over the resources that is available, and then you have a greater control of your success too. So this is what the author tries to tell you, that it is very important to identify your unique niche, which is going to make you specialize in a field, and you are beyond competition and beyond all political games, following and have the greater freedom to follow your life task and the field which you're passionate. A false path in life is a career which you have chosen for the wrong reasons. That is what the author says. The wrong reason could be the approval of the people, it could be for the recognition, or it could be the lure for money, or it could be for attention. So the author says that if you're looking for attention, what happens is, you're trying to you're trying to find fulfillment by the false approval of people. And he says that since it is not in alignment with your life task, you're going to always crave for the fulfillment, and you are going to be deluded in this path, because the approval of people is never going to fulfill that craving that you have. And if it is the lure of money, it's usually because of anxiety to have a living, and also because of the pressure from the parents, because parents out of concern always feel that the children should get into a career which is going to give them a settled life. So because of the parental pressure, if you are attracted to the lure of money, you will still feel empty, because initially you will get all your material needs are fulfilled, but deep down your kind of fulfillment is not completely fulfilled by the money. What happens is, you will try to look for other sources of entertainment and pleasure. Probably you could even get into you will try to control it, or you will try to appease it by certain belief systems, or you might get into drugs or other diversions. So in order to make yourself fulfilling, what happens is, if your work is, you will hardly spend any time in your work. You will start spending a lot of time in doing other activities which are going to give you a diversion from your work, because you're not finding your work pleasurable. So this is a false path, because though initially you find everything, but then there is a point, because you're not putting your complete self into it, you will struggle for you will struggle for money, or you will struggle without getting success, because you're just trying to make the ends meet in spite of not having any interest. You just want to somehow do it even in spite of not being interested in. This is called as the false path. It is very important that to recognize this false path very early in life. Once you have recognized, it is very important to rebel those forces which are going to deviate you from the life task. Probably it's the parental pressure, or probably you are attracted for the wrong reasons, because the societal pressure makes you feel that you have family pressures, you have to take care of the family. All this is there. Yes, it will make you run to only some extent, but after that you will not find fulfillment, and your growth is also retarded. And it is very important to rebel against those forces which are going to deviate from your life task. It is a very normal part of human development to have your unique identity. See, you definitely will follow your parents, they definitely help you to, their guidelines will definitely be helpful to you in life. But then you should develop the sense of rebel, because you have your own identity that needs to be developed. So nature is actually designed in such a way that after a certain age you are actually different from your parents. So it wants in the process of evolution, life wants you to be a little different from others. So in this way, what happens, it is very normal. This kind of rebel is right because it fills you with a sense of purpose. See, being rebellious doesn't mean that you're not going to follow them, but it is very important to rebel these forces of influences because you know that it's not going to put you into the right track. So it is very important to use this rebellion strategy, and this rebellion thing, this sense of rebellions will actually fill with your sense of purpose in dealing with your career and the inevitable changes that happen in your career. It is very important to know and follow this particular thought process. You're not tied to a particular position. Your loyalty is not to a particular career or a company. You are committed to your life's task. It's very important to follow this particular regimen, because what happens, change is inevitable. So you should actually not become overreactive when you are going to face change, when change comes as a challenge to everyone. So what happens is, if you're stuck there, time moves on, because if you're not changing, growth is very important. And if you're not adapting yourself to the changes that happen, then you are left behind. Life moves on with or without you. So it's very important. See, it is not that I'm not telling you to change yourself. I'm telling you to change yourself in a way to adapt yourself. See, change is inevitable, and just by ignoring it, you're not doing any good to yourself. What happens is, you have to definitely, if the demand is that you need to adapt to the changes that are happening. So if it is your work, you have to make certain arrangements such that your life task makes, it matches with the current trend. The trends keep changing, so you can actually bring a change in your approach, but keeping your life task intact. So you can bring the necessary modifications which is in alignment with your life task. It is very important that there's always a change in approach that can be applied. I'm not telling you would have learned so many skills, you would have spent all your energy and time on it. Have them, but along with them, bring the necessary improvements so that the changes are matching the current trend. They're contemporized, they're customized to the current situation, and which is going to lead you, it is going to make you efficient, and then also will give you greater chances of, the success rate is high, there is a greater chance of success. So it's very important to adapt yourself to change. You have to definitely let go your old methodology of approach, and you have to let go your past, and then you have to adapt yourself to the changing times. It's very, very important. If it so happens that you feel you are very rigid, and you say you're going to stick on to the plan which you have done in your when you were a youth, you made up a plan, and you are very rigid on it and saying, I'm going to stick on to it, I'm not a person who is going to change, then you are the person who's going to lose, because time would ruthlessly pass by you. So it's very important to let go of past and make the necessary adaptations, so that you'll customize your life task and finally adapt it to the current trends. And this is going to make you more successful. The author believes that no good has ever happened by deviating from your life task. Why is that? Because once you deviate from your life task, at one point you're going to reach a dead end of your career. Why is that? If you imagine your journey of mastery as a maze and you're going to find your way towards your life task, it's like a maze. If you're going to deviate from your path, then definitely at one point you're going to face a dead end. And once you are facing the dead end, you feel you have to go back. And sometimes you may not have the energy left to go back. And it's not going to, since it's not in alignment with your interests, at times you're just compromising. And at times you're not filled with energy and vigor. There's not that kind of enthusiasm with which you work. And this is called as the dead end of your career. And you may try to do several things just to compromise with it, but indeed you are always limited, you are locked up by your lack of interest. And this is something which will never help you to outgrow the situations, or it will make you stuck in a particular field and you have a limited amount of growth. When this happens, you feel very helpless and you are actually going into the downward curve of growth. There is a vicious circle. Either it's the upward curve or the downward curve. So once you reach a dead end in your career, it becomes a life and death strategy, because if you're going to outgrow it, if you're going to change your path and then go back to your life task, the journey is going to become easier. You again catch up the success curve, or you catch back the flow of the current. But if you get stuck onto it and you're not interested in changing it, then it becomes a life and death strategy. So there is no good ever happened by deviating from your career path. So what you have to do is you have to find your way back. Finding your way back is definitely not going to be easy. It's not so simple, and it also requires great amount of planning and strategizing. Very important is when you're trying to go back to your particular path, since you've already deviated, and if you think of going back to your particular path, what happens is people are very desperate. There's a kind of desperation. You want it immediately. See, now why do you usually deviate from the path? Because you are looking for immediate results, and then the job might be very lucrative. But then at one point you feel that you're actually not interested in it, and then you end up in a dead end career. And you want to outgrow it within a few years. Know that it definitely requires about 5 to 10 years of time. You should give minimum that amount of time for you to go back and settle down in that particular career. Once you have deviated, it's very important that you go back into the track, and you should give a minimum of 5 to 10 years. And know that it's worth it. The author believes that in the end, all the money that comes to a person is not because of the well-planned or the goals that they focus on, but it more comes, the long-lasting money, the long-lasting fulfillment, the long-lasting success. Everything comes to a person who is working on his direction of mastery and his life task. I feel life task is all about work. Work is your only worship. Work is your only way to freedom, and work is also your only way to liberation. Ultimately, it's all about what works. So, in spite of me sharing all these strategies with you, it is very important that it works for you. So, anything that you learn from the outside world, knowledge is definitely power, but knowledge implemented is only going to give you that power. So it's all about what works. Once it starts working and clicking for you, that is what matters the most. All the best in the journey of mastery. It's very important to discover your life's task, and this is going to be the simplest and the easier way to achieve mastery. Thank you for this journey of the first chapter of mastery, discovering your calling, your life's task. All the best. Thank you so much.